The visual before you that you're viewing is a chart that represents the answers to some questions that was asked to a few high school students if they had ever been engaged in sexual intercourse before. The lighter bars shows previous years. The darker bars is the most current year. As you can see, the darker bar, it does show, since sex education has entered into the schools, that it is getting a little better. At one period, another period in the middle, it stays the same. And at the end, the very end graph, it actually shows that it got a little worse. So this visual is true evidence that there is still needed information that needs to be given out to our children, to our teens. And tonight, I have a group of teens aging anywhere from 8 to 15, 16, 18. Actually, this speech is welcoming all types of genders, races, nationalities, because this is a worldwide discussion that needs to take place. Should sex be engaged upon before marriage? How does God feel about that? Tonight I'm going to share some facts, and hopefully the facts that I share will birth a new desire to compel anyone that you come in contact with, especially our teens, that they should not engage in sex before marriage, and how God values that when we uphold His plan that He originally created for us. Being a teen myself in a number of early years, I was not properly educated on the ins and outs of sex, how it could damage our bodies. I wasn't educated properly on how God feels when we do have sex outside of marriage. And for that very reason, myself got news that I didn't know how to take as a teenager. And so my position tonight is to share with you all why it is important to wait before you have sex. Did you know that over 80% of girls, let's just say 8 out of 10 girls, are walking around today with an STD, sexual transmitted disease? Also, did you know that there are over 19 million new cases each year that are reported of new transmitted sexual disease, all different types of sexual diseases? Okay, 20% out of 1.5 million don't even know that they even have a disease, according to the NSCL 2012. Very alarming. Very alarming. That's why I believe that it's very important that sex education not only be taught in our schools, which it is mandated by most states, but it also should be taught in our home, according to the Bible, Proverbs 22:6, that we train up our children. And also the Bible tells us that God had an intended purpose when He created sex, for pleasure to be joyable between a man and a woman, anointed by His blessings, to be to have more fruit, to multiply the land, to be able to share the goodness of God. And when people go outside of that will and go outside of His provision, we limit the intended life that God has supplied for us here on earth. I mean, His original design was for us to be in harmony and in unity with Him. And when we have sex outside of marriage, we cancel His plans, and we add infirmities, we add disappointments, we add a whole lot of things to society, burdens to society that we can avoid if we learn how to walk in the provisions that God has set for us, if we just follow His blueprint for our lives. So again, as I bring my speech to a close, why should we not have sex before marriage? Number one, it's outside of the blueprint of God. Number two, we have alarming numbers that remind us that this is still a relevant conversation that needs to be had. It's not something that was back in the day. It is now that we need to talk to our teens and educate our teens about not having sex before marriage. And most of all, we need to let them know that God's plan, that if we follow it, that it only provides rewards and a long life and long life of our generations to come. So what should we do? Educate ourselves, educate our teens, go out and share the goodness of God, share the values of God, share why it's important not to have sex before marriage. And most of all, what we need to do every day is ask God to give us even more greater wisdom on how to infect this world with His values and His choices. Blessings to you.